So Megan, federal law on abortion has changed. How has that changed then for service members?
So nothing in the immediate changes for service members in terms of on paper what they're able to access. It's more about the logistics of getting those procedures afterward. So before Roe v. Wade was overturned, service members could only get abortions through their medical insurance, through TRICARE, in case of rape, incest, or if the life of the mother was threatened. That hasn't changed. What has changed is that the military often will send women off base to get these procedures if they don't have a doctor there who is assigned to do them. And so now you may not be able to go off base and get the procedures just as simply as before. You may have to go out of state now and take time off and get reimbursed for your travel expenses.
So I'm sure a lot of women, service members, spouses have questions about access, getting that permission to go off base. Do we know what that will look like?
So permission so far is pretty straightforward. Your commander has to approve these procedures if they are something that's covered by TRICARE. And the Army and Air Force specifically have put policies in place so that even if you're getting an elective abortion for not one of these covered cases, that you can still get time off, your own personal time on your own expense, but you can at least get that time off to go take care of it.
Is the military still performing abortions on base?
Yes. The problem with that access is that we don't really know which bases have abortion access, and the Department of Defense can't really tell us either, because it's not a situation where a major military hospital will have an open billet that must be filled by an OBGYN who can do abortions. It's all based on whoever gets assigned there. So a doctor may only be there for a couple years at a time and then move on, and then they may not have someone going forward at the base who can do those procedures. Before, it was okay because you could send people out in town to get them. Now, in places like Texas, places like Missouri, places like Alabama, South Dakota, more and more states are making it harder for you to just go off on the economy and get this taken care of.
So if you are in one of those states that doesn't have access, you'll still be allowed to go off base, right? But could you get in trouble as a service member, as a commander, to get that abortion if you live in that state?
No, as long as you are following local law, it's not going to be an issue. So if you're going if you're based in Ohio, for instance, which has very restrictive abortion laws, and you go to Indiana, as we've heard, stories in the news about people having to do recently, that has no bearing on any legal ramifications that you could have in the military. The other situation is that just because some of these abortions have been covered by TRICARE and other abortions haven't been, doesn't mean that service members haven't gotten them. Service members have been paying out of pocket for their own abortions for whatever their personal reasons are for years. That has gotten even harder in many states where service members are assigned. Texas, all over the place. And so for them, they not only have to go out of state, but they have to request personal leave and pay for all of their own travel expenses. And these are not just cases where someone gets pregnant and they decide that they don't want to be pregnant. These are cases, because many of these states don't have exceptions for this, these are cases where there's some sort of fetal abnormality where this pregnancy is not going to go all the way to term, and so you may have to carry it until you miscarry. That may be 7 months in, that may be 8.5 months in, or it may be a situation where you deliver the baby and the baby passes away almost immediately or very quickly. And that's something your doctor would have told you that could happen, but there was no access to an abortion either on base or in your state to be able to get that taken care of.
So for these cases that are not covered, the military is saying that it'll support service members going off base to get them?
Yes, so you are able to get personal leave approved. No questions asked to do that. You do have to pay for everything. Now, there have been some suggestions that you could get around the federal law by allowing women to get these abortions on base and pay for them out of pocket. And there have also been suggestions that maybe the military could cover your travel expenses or let you take medical leave for these non-covered abortions, because that facilitation and even the funding of your travel does not violate the federal law. The federal law only covers the funds that go toward the procedure.
What are you hearing from service members, specifically female service members and military spouses?
A lot of confusion, about any type of abortion and where they're going to be able to get them. And also worries about, am I going to be in trouble if I travel out of state? And even more, concerns about commanders and whether they're going to be involved and whether you're going to have to tell anybody, because before it could be so easy to never let your chain of command know that you were even pregnant. And now if you tell your chain of command, even if they can't deny it, right, you can still get the abortion, but that means that you have to tell your commander that you're going out of state to get an abortion, and you may not want to do that. And one of the other things that's concerning in a larger, sort of retention and family planning situation is there are service members who are concerned about getting pregnant while they're in uniform because they don't want to get pregnant in one of these states where if there's a fetal abnormality and they know that they're going to lose this pregnancy, they can't preemptively go and get an abortion. They have to suffer a miscarriage in order to close the chapter.
States and the law is still trying to figure out some of these abortion questions. Are there still abortion questions that the military is hashing out, trying to figure out?
There are, in terms of what they can do for service members who want to get these non-covered abortions that they had access to, and now they may not have access to based on where they are stationed. Representative Speer, in that hearing last week, talked a little bit about how they've created this situation where there's unequal access for service members, and that's something that she's concerned, about remedying, because you don't want to create a situation where female service members or male service members' spouses are stuck in this situation, and they may not want to stay in the military because they're concerned about getting pregnant in this situation.
Of the service women currently serving in the military, we'd expect that more than 50,000 of them would have an abortion during their lifetime. And for many of them, it will be during their years of military service.
Was there any other compelling testimony at the hearings?
There was a story from a civilian OBGYN talking about one of her patients coming in, doing tests, and finding that this fetus that this woman was carrying had abnormalities that were not compatible with life, and how she had to navigate telling this patient, your baby is going to die, but I can't do anything for you here. I have to send you to a different doctor who you don't know, who doesn't know your situation, in order to take care of this. Or your other option is to carry this pregnancy until it inevitably ends in miscarriage.
Thanks for coming in today, Megan, and talking us through all this.
Thanks for having me.